Good morning, curling fans from the beautiful city of Lethbridge, Canada. We are not far from the Canadian Badlands. Lethbridge became a city in 1906. Shortly after that, the high-level bridge construction began. Today, the trestle bridge is used by CP Rail. It's the largest railway structure in Canada, and that type of structure is the largest in the world. We have a pretty large world event going on. All eyes are on the NMAX Center and the Pioneer Hi-Bred World Men's Curling Championship 2019. It's a Tuesday morning and time for session 9. Luke Coley here, joined shortly by Sander Rolvag as we have Japan taking on Korea. Important games trying to get to the playoffs as the fans here in attendance, young and old, see the teams come out on the ice as two rival countries out of the Pacific Asia region will do battle this morning. Japan sitting in a pretty good position, coming in with just one loss, while Korea has yet to get that first victory here at this championship. Let's meet the teams for Japan. Their lead, Shinya Abe. Their second, Yasumasa Tanida. Third, Tetsuro Shimizu. And the skip of Team Japan, Yuta Matsumura. They'll take on Japan. Their lead, Jeong Byung-jin. Their second, Hwang Hyung-jun. Third, Lee Jong-jae. And their skip in his fourth World Championship, Kim Soo-hyuk. Here's the standings coming into day 4. Canada, Switzerland, Sweden all undefeated at 5-0. Japan and the US at 4-1. Then there's a bit of a drop with the 2-win teams, Italy and Netherlands, but Netherlands 2-3. Scotland, China, Germany, Russia, all with 1 win, while Norway and Korea looking for win number 1. And good morning, Sander. It is 3 games only out on the ice, but important ones for all these teams trying to position themselves in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think Japan's done really well so far. Came off to a great start, 4 straight wins, only losing to Sweden, and you know that can happen. Nicholas Edin, it will be a tough match for anyone. For Korea, 0-5, really surprising. They're a good team, but they have lost 3 extra end games so far.
Here's the other games, just 3 games out on the ice, nothing on sheet A. We're on sheet B with our feature game, Japan and Korea, while sheet C, Scotland takes on Sweden, who sits as one of the 3 unbeatens. While Norway looks for win number 1 as they take on Italy over on sheet D, and we'll talk about that as we update through. But Norway making a lineup change, some teams trying to maybe tinker with the lineup to get some momentum.
Yeah, absolutely. Norway will be bringing in Stefan Wallstad, who has a bit more experience. And that's pretty typical halfway through the week. If you're not getting the results, you might have to see if there's anything you can change. Either a tactical approach or lineup. And for Korea, like I said, they've lost 3 extra ends so far. It's almost a bit uncanny. Played 5 really close games. I just think it's the inexperience of the 3 first players on the team maybe showing a bit. It's a completely new team.
Well, the skips a little conversation, familiar with one another, played at the Pacific Asia Championship. Japan won. Look at the last stone draw numbers. Korea will have the hammer with the better draw shot challenge. Japan will have the red stones, or dark tops, and Korea will have the yellow as we get set for session number 9. Shinya Abe will get this session 9 underway for Japan. A veteran of this Japanese squad. He's also the vice skip, 39 years of age. A familiar way of starting these games that we've seen. A tight centerline guard. Jeong Byung-jin, 22-year-old. His first world championship. Shinya Abe, oldest member of this Japanese team, but he's also been curling longer than some members of his team have been alive. Speaking of young curling fans, in to get a taste of the world action, as they do at a lot of these events, bringing in the school kids, get a chance to see firsthand a world-class field. Well, Bay didn't quite get underneath the chance here to make a play on it. Well, nice hit and roll, right? Just a quiet wait, flop in behind. Yasumasa Tanida, 24 years of age. Second world championship appearance. Just misses the run back. Tanida was the alternate 2016. That year was the best finish for a Japanese team at a world championship. Yusuke Morizumi finishing fourth. Here's the rules of play. 6 ends minimum must be played. 38 minutes of thinking time given. 1 60-second timeout on the clocks for the teams here throughout round robin. I'll try to run it back. We'll get all of them moving and spill them out of the forefoot. Doesn't get it all the way out of the rings.
Oh, still pretty good. It leaves almost a corner guard there, the red one. So if Japan ever wanted to switch gears, they could try and score their 2 instead of the blank. Korea looking to split the rings, trying to get the force. Be quite happy to see Japan score a single point. Get the hammer back. Pardon me. Split the rings to set up for a score of 2. So you could have come in underneath the guard, but you kind of group in your rocks, and Japan might be able to make a double, so leaving all the separation makes it harder for Japan. So gonna start hitting the yellow on the wing, try and roll over, try and group to maybe get a chance at a double. You know, I have players like Shimizu here. You don't want to leave him any kind of angle. He plays some proper heat if he needs to.
Well, and Shimizu, he's the experienced one on the team as far as World Championship. Not the oldest member on the team, but this is trip number 7. Yeah, this is one. Make sure you get your selfie. Document that for the young ones, remember. They're watching Japan, Korea here in session 9. A lot of support for both sides. Oh, the knitted curling rock hats. Lee Jong-jae. A little flip to the outside. Set up for a potential deuce to start this game off for Korea. Of course, 3 teams out of that Pacific Asia region here at the World Championship. These 2 along with China. Japan winning the Pacific Championship, qualified, China finishing 2nd. Korea had to go through the Olympic or World qualification event, get a spot here at the World Championship.
Japan trying to use that guard now for some cover, but ends up rolling just a tad too far, but still better rolling closer to the center line there and staying on the wing. This way Korea won't be able to roll back to the left as we see it. Might leave a double on the yellows.
Playing quieter way to go after it. Zhang Huang trying to get by.
Skip the Korean team at the Winter University Games not long ago. Placed 7th.
We've talked about it throughout, and you're seeing a lot more of these teams playing the university games, the development there, and getting the experience on a world stage. A scaled down version, but get to play against the international field.
It's become a really important stepping stone. You see a lot of the good teams, a lot of players out here this week that's either played it even this year or in prior years.
Yuta Matsumura. Skip of this Japanese team trying to hit and roll. Pinballs off the second one to stick around. Korea's still got to set up, try and score their 2 this end.
Yeah, just hit the red, try and sit 2. The question is, do you want to roll in behind that guard? Could leave a freeze for Japan to get out of the end, but it'd be a bit risky as well. Just don't want to leave a double.
Kim Soo-hyuk made his World Championship debut in 2003. He was in Canada and Winnipeg that year, now here in 2019. Still looking for win number 1 as he knows hits to lie to.
He was kind of dominating in Korea for years leading up to the Olympics in Pyeongchang, but then lost out to Kim Chang-min and his team. So he seems to be pretty eager to give it another go, bringing on 3 young players just out of juniors. This would be a long time project for him.
without the hammer. Yuta Matsumura. Will they get rid of one? They catch it thin, will hit and roll out. So wide open rings, and great start for Korea here against Japan. Opportunity to get an early deuce. That was a big sweep to just try and hold it. Fortunate they had just enough weight to move one of those out.
We're seeing some late finish on those down weight hits, so need to be aware that you might curl up at the end. This is a pretty straightforward draw for Kim So-hyuk.
Just have to hit the rings. And what a way to start for Korea. Great chance to get two. They do. So lead 2-0. Capitalize with the hammer early on in session 9. They lead Japan 2-0.
병준이 샷이 딱딱 들어와 주니까 그때는 좋았어. 나이트는 아닌데. 일본 애들도 심각하게 뭐 이렇게 무리하게 샷을 안 해. 아,勢いなかったね。どっちも。死んじゃってたからね。もうちょい下があるぐらいで多分いいんだろうけど。じゃあ単純にちょっと遅いね。まああとこっち側からのがやっぱ曲がってるから。やっぱインアウト曲がる。反対も曲がってたからね。練習は。
끝에 죽을 수도 있다.
오케이.
Good morning, welcome back to the NMAX Center. We're in Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada. Luke Coley here with Sander Rovag. An early capitalization with the hammer by Korea. Get their two. Early miss, and Korea just executed their shots to score an early two.
Best way to start your game.
Well, that draw shot challenge has been important, not just for tiebreakers, but you get the all-important hammer to start a game. You get a chance to score two. Your percentage winning the game goes up immensely.
I think it's something teams actually have to practice back home in their curling clubs.
around that center line guard, but it doesn't get buried, so a chance to make a play on it.
Yeah, you could freeze it, but stays open enough. Korea with a 2-point lead. Now, won't mind trying to remove it. You can see a little bit of fresh pebble here, closer to the center line. Hasn't been played as much this path. It's pretty typical in the early ends of a game. You throw a rock down the edge of the forefoot, soft weight, sometimes pulls up on you a bit.
An early miss in the second by Korea. How's Japan try and set up for their score now?
Matsumura not seeming too happy about bringing the play into the rings already, but not a lot of great options. Throw a guard and Korea just hits the open red. There's 3 yellows in the house.
Center guard plays into Korea's hands if you put to protect your own.
Exactly. You want to keep that center line open. So this is good, you like too, but to be able to do that for the rest of the end, pretty hard.
So everything in the rings here in end number 2. Want to hit and stick around, but that will roll out.
Just over curling in that same spot again.
Sandra, let's take a look in Scotland, Sweden, right next to us on sheet C.
Yeah, Dean made a really nice drawing around the guard, forcing Bruce Mowat to draw for the single.
Scotland coming in 1 and 3, losing 3 straight after an impressive win in their opening game. Well, Sweden has won 5 in a row.
Yeah, when you're sitting 1 and 3, the last team you want to play is Sweden, probably. But a win here can really boost your confidence, Scotland. This draw from Bruce Mowat looking pretty good. Just McMillan and Lamy guiding it into the button. Single point for Scotland.
So 1-0 lead. We'll keep an eye on that one. Top 6 teams do make the playoffs, but you don't want to get to 4 losses too early if you're, well, or ever. We've seen 6 losses make it into the playoffs. Also 6 losses make on the outside looking into the playoffs in the 3 World Championships, men and women, that have used this 13-team field and the format with the top 6 making the playoffs. Each go around 6 losses in, 6 losses out. No tiebreaker draws, so head-to-head and draw shot challenge, very important.
You can see Japan throwing the guard this time because the shot stone was on the wing and they get to keep the center open. Just didn't quite curl enough, so Korea thinking they can come around on the outside here, trying to fish out the red.
Hwang Hyung-jun. Real nice, delicate weight, makes the little flop. You hear the noise and the cheering going on. Always a joy for children to see themselves on the big screen here in the building. I'm sure a few of them have been here for an ice hockey game or two. Home of the junior hockey team, Lethbridge Hurricanes. And they'll just touch the front, trying to come around. Some mistakes in the first couple ends of this one from both sides.
Morning draw.
Still waking up?
Yeah.
Let's see the Korean coach, Lee Ji-ho.
It's almost lucky to get that little rub. Leaves that redstone usable for Japan. They can run that in and roll the shooter into the house if they want to. Korea just splitting the rings. Mickey Mouse ears, some would call it.
Well, that's a new one.
2 rocks in the wings, 1 behind. They're coming deep with this one, maybe back 4, back 8. I think it's the Wallstad team that uses that. Do you see it? The Mickey Mouse?
No, I still don't see it. Bob Ursel, coach of this Japanese team. Canadian now. An export on the bench of the Japanese side. Bob, no world men's experience, but it was 1985. He won the gold medal at the World Juniors. I'm sure he probably doesn't want to hear that.
I believe he beat our stats guy, Christian Sager, in the final from Switzerland. I'm sure he doesn't want to hear that either.
No. Bob because of the age, Christian because of the loss.
Yeah.
And Bob was working with Korean team and men's team at the Olympic Winter Games, now joining the Japanese squad. Short little raise, roll both in. My 2nd and 3rd.
Might have left a double back. Or definitely did. Korea wants to play it.
확실히 보내줄게요.
정지야, 많이 위로 있어.
확실히 보내줄게.
Lee Jong-jae try and make this double.
많이 와야 돼, 많이 와야 돼.
Just over the top. So that one's buried behind cover. Just like that, missed double, and Japan's got a chance to set up for 2 themselves. So you like hitting the back one, freeze an option?
You could freeze, you wouldn't be lying too. You could freeze bump, but like we've seen, they've made a couple of mistakes early on. Maybe this is just a simpler way to sit 2. There's no double left if they make it. And this is the same spot Korea's overcurled a few times, but Shimizu seems to be hanging a bit wide. And of course, that's always a risk playing the hit as well.
Seemed like more weight than we saw the Koreans throw in that spot this end.
Yeah. Seemed like more weight than necessary, but obviously the more weight you throw, less ice reading comes into it, but as soon as you're an inch off, you roll out.
정작 그 필요웨이트에서 약했어? 혹시?
조금 약하기도 했어요. 원래 차던 거예요.
가기 좀 힘들었으니까 해봤어요.
What kind of weight thrown at this, trying to get at that shot stone?
Maybe bumper, board weight, hack even. Throws quite a bit of rotation, so it should make the stone run a bit straighter for him.
Catch enough to push that one out, and they will. The shooter also rolls out of play.
The good part about throwing the extra rotation is so the line becomes more predictable, but you get less curl past the guard as well, and also when you make contact, just the gear effect of the rotation of the rock makes it spin out easier. There's always a bit of a pro. There's pros and cons.
あと何秒だったの 4.5 くらいだった
Well, quickly putting the broom down. Matsumura knew he has a chance to use his corner guard.
No need to come too deep into the rings here. The guard's pretty long. Just keep it top 8 foot. Maybe even overbowed. Rather show a piece of the rock on the left-hand side of the guard. This one is slipping a bit deep.
Just behind the tee line. One of just 2 draws throughout the round-robin play where there's just 3 games in action. We're on sheet B, no action on sheet A. And Sandra, does that cause a little difference in the ice conditions with just 3 games?
Yeah, it's a pretty big building, and Jamie Brass, I think, has pretty good control over it. Might be a little bit of a different airflow, but I don't think it should make too much of a difference.
It'll just be a little bit quieter. The 8 less men out on the ice playing on one sheet.
Yeah, and Canada's not playing this morning, so maybe a few less people, but also a bit less cheering.
Going out wide here. Kim Soo-hyuk.
Canada has 3 morning games to come, so I think teams will wake up a little easier for the morning draws in the days to come.
Get to it, tap that one back. Nicely done. Kim able to get right around that wide corner.
They've done that twice in this end, and I think that speaks to the ice quality. Quite often you'll find it, you know, just a bit fresh and unpredictable when you come that far wide, but they seem to be able to throw the controlled weight, and the line seemed very predictable. So ice just seems quite uniform and pretty keen all over.
Well, they'll need a good number on this one to put this one right on the tee line. Well, 8 foot or better, but we'd love to put this one on the button to get the single point here in the second end.
Always nice for the sweepers to put this right on the pin, so Matsumura feels like he has the button draw available to him if it's needed later on in the game.
Well, and just a light clean from the sweepers. No need to tax himself here at this point. They'll put it right into the 4 foot, and we'll get the single point. So Korea gets the force after a deuce in the first. And they lead Japan 2-1, and we'll get the hammer back heading to the third end.
11でもいいんじゃないかっていう話をしてたんだけど、じゃあ 10.5 でいい位置当てれてるんだったら多分11で投げた方が
컨트롤러 스위퍼 사서 신대 제가 지금 좀 빠져서 아까 2개 컨트롤 좀 많이 빠졌었잖아요. 처음에.
괜찮아.
그랬어서 얘기한 거니까 너무
Welcome back. Here in session 9, Japan taking on Korea, the Pioneer Hi-Bred World Men's Curling Championship 2019. 2-1 is the score. Luke Coley here with Sam the Rolvog. Hope you're enjoying our coverage throughout the week and as we continue throughout. Japan, their one loss coming yesterday to Sweden. Korea, winless so far. Trying to pick up win number 1, and they'd love nothing better to do that than against their rival nation, Japan.
경제 날좀 잡아줘봐. 들어와야 돼. 들어와야 돼. 7까지는.
6이야.
아, 조금만 더.
최대한 들어가줘. 라인 좋아.
아,
괜찮아.
Well, third straight end. Seen the center line guard, the come around. It's not quite where Korea wanted that one.
That's maybe, if anything, a bit shy of weight. There's enough curl on the ice here for Shinyabe to come around to everything. Of course, if he doesn't get buried, then Korea can hit and roll to the wing. Try and set up a 2 that way. It's quite important for this one to get in behind cover, even if it's a little bit deep. Almost lost that one. Very good draw by Abbott. Maybe see an inch of it, but it's so high in the rings. Very hard to chase. This is always a tough shot. The freezer rock in the top 8, you have not a lot of room for error.
And they have to deal with their own stone in the top 12 foot also.
It's just also you're so used to freezing rocks on the T-line or in the 4 foot. So easy to throw it just a couple of feet heavy.
Change now to go around it.
That's why leads really need to practice different weights. You go in practice, it's very easy to just throw 4 foot, 4 foot, 4 foot all over and over again. You need to think top 12, back 8, so on all the time when you're in practice, just so you know those weights.
I'll see some teams in their practice, they'll go 1 stone on the butt, freeze on top of it, freeze on top of it, different weights, and try to do it without moving the stone.
Yeah, lots of good drills. So you also have the chase me drill. One guy on the team throws a rock, then you try and freeze it, and you keep going like that.
I want to try and chase that stone, but they'll end up sitting on the side of the button. We'll take a look. Scotland, Sweden, 2 contenders here coming in. Perennial favorites. 1-0 Scotland leading.
Sweden in trouble this whole end, really did well to open up the 4 foot to have a chance to draw for the 1. I think you can see Nicholas. he knows it's there already. Not concerned whatsoever. And the sweepers are just cleaning this one. No problem, I think.
Yeah, you guys got this. Good job, guys.
Yeah. And there you go, right on the button.
Make that too easy. 1-1 after 2 there. And the other game going on, Norway and Italy. 2-0. Italy leads Norway. They play in the second.
A little bit the same story here. Norway not really getting anything going. Magnus Ramsfjell needing to draw the button here. So a bit less room for error than Nicholas Edin. It's been a tough week for the Norwegians, now bringing on Stefan Wallstad as 3rd, hoping that might change their luck a bit. This one looking a bit hot. Does it maybe rub off the yellow? It does, and it's good enough for the single.
So 2-1 Italy leading Norway after 2 ends. Same score as our feature game. Korea's the hammer here in the second end, pardon me, the third end. Well, the overlap of that one trying to come around does protect shot stone for Japan.
Yeah, and Kim So-hyuk just recognizing that the center line is becoming a bit congested. You never want that when you have last rock. You want to keep control of that forfeit area. Trying to run the yellow back, make the double on the reds, just spill everything. And there you go. Pretty nice.
Even get a little corner out of it.
It might impede your button draw a little bit, but it is a yellow rock and it's close to the ring, so you can always use it. Real nice.
Hwang Hyung-jun opens that center line up. Good look at the delivery, the setup for Shimizu. Everyone has little different nuances in their release, but takes that extra second to set himself before kicking out of the hack. Trying to guard up shot stone one more time. And just come in too deep for Japan.
Yeah, just a little bit. Korea knows this, they'll keep their shooter pretty close to the rings. They won't be too worried, even if it's on the center line. So this is where, yeah, it'd be pretty nice to run it straight back. Yeah, ever just slightly off, you catch your own yellow and you leave it, the redstone guarded. Hard to slash too, though. That top yellow guard is a bit in the way.
Right on the nose, Elite Jongjae.
Do end up kind of slashing it. Does at least open it up a bit for Korea. But also leaves a guard for Japan to come around.
Yeah, how different if he makes that on the nose is the scenario in this third end.
Kind of call it in between there. It'd be better to catch it even a bit higher and roll that yellow further to the left, maybe even onto the rings. You see a smart move by Japan here, coming around on the left-hand side as we see it. You come the other way and you show a piece of the rock. You leave Korea a chance to make the hit and roll in underneath the corner guard. Coming this way, even if you're half open, the best Korea can do is chase it and sit in the open. So it's just making sure Korea can't use that left yellow guard. But over curling. Oh,
Misses the risk with that.
yeah, if you play a different spot, you're not really sure about the ice. And now you've promoted that yellow. Korea can hit and lie too.
Japan just not as sharp as we saw them earlier in their first 4 games.
Struggling with the draws quite a bit.
A little flip to tuck the inside of it. To lie 2 for Korea.
寄せられてなかったらダブルストライク。10。11でもいいよ。11。
Well, Japan's got themselves in a little bit of trouble. They need to make a hit and roll, try and get out of the end. Trying to roll to the tighter guard.
I'm actually not 100% sure. They obviously can't roll in for shot stone here. Maybe just trying to roll away, hoping Korea might hit it, leave the center line open for the draw. It's not bad there. Good second shot. So they open up the draw. Japan could potentially come around everything, try and save the end.
잠깐만. 깊게 안 들어와도 되잖아. 센터부터는 많이 보니까 여섯 잡아줘.
Well, they're looking at those redstones, seeing how much is available on that raise.
흰색은 다 들어가야겠어. 흰색은 다 들어가야겠어.
Yeah, obviously we come around here. Japan could make a play on the reds, but I don't think it's going to angle up too well for them. They would have to be fully buried around the reds, and then still Japan would need to be able to hit the nose of that red guard. I think you'd be pretty happy to just be maybe half buried around those reds. Just to try not to come too deep here and allow the freeze.
라인만 볼게.
웨트 조금만 센터부터 죽일 거야. 웨트 조금만 죽여.
여덟.
라인 좋아 얘들아.
라인 좋아. 스위치하지 마. 야.
7.
라인 진짜 좋아.
2번만.
여기야 현준아. 라인 진짜 좋아. 계속 와 병진. 좀만 더 오자. 좀만 더 오자. 좀만 더.
Get it in the 8-foot, in behind.
Pretty good. Is there ever enough room for Japan to make a double? Not sure.
Not too sure with the reaction if he's really happy where it is or not.
Double might be hard, but you can maybe make the hit and roll and nestle up against that second yellow. Just kind of roll into it, and you'll be half and behind the corner. Yeah, I think Kim was hoping to maybe just curl a couple more inches.
Actually overbury that guard a bit.
Yeah, that's so long.
I've seen a lot of late finish, and Matsumura's going to need that right now to try and make this hit and roll over.
Remember, he's coming at the left-handed hack, so he's actually seeing less of this rock than a right-hander would. It's a more of an awkward angle for Matsumura. Also throwing his out turn, sometimes runs a bit straighter.
Well, now they're by, trying to get that extra finish. Hit, roll right over beside it. How's that?
That was a brilliant shot. Hard to do a lot more than that.
Just a good team shot for Japan. You really use the sweepers. Get that late finish.
And the fact that it sits almost side frozen here means if Korea catches the red too thin, it's going to make that yellow rock move sideways.
They're big on the roll to get it over there.
근데 저기가 너무 붙어 있어서 얇아버리면 얘 맞고 밀려 내려가지고
So chase the red, catch it too thin. The yellow moves to the left. The red loses a bit of momentum as it spins down through the back. Depending on what weight choice you play, you might not be able to move it far enough. You need to catch quite a big piece of it, so they might consider the run back even. But that's risky as well. You were catch your own yellow. It might be a steal of 2 in play.
Looks like the ice to try and come right after it.
Just playing back line. If they are, they probably need to catch this red close to nose as possible. If you only catch half of it and it tickles the yellow, it's going to lose a lot of momentum. It might not slide deep enough for the second point.
Delicate hit here for Kim Soo-hyuk. Jung Byung-jin, Hwang Young-jun. Got to try and get it past the front first. Get by, and they do. Look at that. Shot for shot, and Korea gets 2. Kim Soo-hyuk, great shot back to score 2 for Korea. Their second 2 of the game. And they now lead this game 4-1 after 3 ends against Japan.
잘했어. 이게 계속 내려가지고 솔직히 좀 많이 돌아가고 살짝 말아보겠다. 나 찔르려 했는데 뭐라 질러야 되지? 컥 하고 멈췄어. 나는 스윙 탁 바뀌었어. 나이스. 1점만 주는. 다시.
그냥 너 현준이 때나 나 때 더블이나 런게 하나 나오면은 1점 주니까 저희가 좀 더 신중하게 되고. 라인 형님한테 안 줄여달라고 해도 괜찮아. 편하게. 형님 편하게.
저도 방금 내가 딱 찍었을 때 네가 딱 좋아요 하니까 마음이 딱 놓거든. 그래서 살짝만 풀어주면 잡아가면 되겠다 했는데 아슬아슬하게 잘 잡아왔어.
진짜 좋았어.
Well, there's the 2 flags, Japan, Korea, hanging beside each other. Geographically, they're very close together, rivals in every sport. And here, advantage to Korea, up 4-1, playing the 4th end. And did they want that one in the rings to start?
It seemed like it. It's a 4th end. They know Japan's most likely throwing the corner guard, so a little easier for Korea to come top 4, then throw the center guard.
Shinyabe, 89% on the tournament numbers, 6th among the leads. So tight corner, or tight center, halfway corner. Jung Byung-jin 85%.
He's made life just a little bit harder on himself. Throwing the guard first, now having to come around.
너무 뺐어. 기다려줘.
기다릴 수 있어.
현준아,
충분해.
안으로 밀어줘.
피 더 먹어요.
괜찮으니까 밀어줘. 안으로 밀어줘.
좀만 더 가면 돼.
조금만 더 밀자, 조금만 더 밀자.
공간 없어. 오케이. 샷. 샷.
Well, it's been a messy couple ends. The third end, Scotland-Sweden 1-1 is the score.
And Bruce Mode in all kinds of trouble here. Sweden lying 3. And one thing's to draw the button against 3, but he's having to promote his own red stone here. Needs perfect line, perfect weight. Not really any room for error on this one. Big team shot. See wee Hammy McMillan on the brushes with Bobby Lammy, just trying to keep the line here and tap this red stone up, needing full forfeit. Wow, that is one clutch shot from Skip in desperate need of a win.
They lead Sweden 2-1. They come in, they're 3 games back of Sweden, and this is just session 9. You don't want to fall 4 games back, the leaders.
I think at this point Scotland's pretty happy just to get into the qualification game.
Hwang Hyung-jun, 83% on the championship. Doesn't remove that stone, just rolls to the side of the forefoot.
It's kind of a rule. If you're up by 3, throw enough weight to kill your opposition stones, especially when they have hammer. You don't want to leave too many reds around the 12th foot. They might come back to haunt you later.
Chance here for Yasumasa Tanida, 84% on the tournament. Make that roll, use the corner guard. This time they don't throw enough to hit Brangle and will hit and roll. Very closed out, maybe just hanging on to the back edge of the 12-foot. So back-to-back shots where they don't remove the stone. Looks like that one just hangs around. Fortunately for Japan.
Slightly more forgivable for Tanida. You have last struck. You don't mind throwing soft enough weight to make sure the shooter stays around, and even if there's a couple opposition rocks, you push them back in the rings, it's okay. That wasn't a great result, but that rock could come back to score. It's tempting to come around the center and light 3, but you know the hitting ability of Tanida and Shimizu coming up. You don't feel safe at all. 3-point lead, you hit the open one. Maybe just out counting the red on the opposite wing. Or maybe not.
It's very tight between those two. Does it change that much right now?
Maybe not right now, definitely later. Of course, if Japan feels that the red is closer, I think I saw Matsumura just pointing at the red. And they'd be interested in moving these yellows in the forfeit out of play. They're going to try and use those stones to their own benefit here. Just draw down onto them. Tap that shot rock back a foot. Just sit in the pocket. Create a little nest in behind. As a former world champion, Christian Sørum of Norway said once, stones behind the tee line are your friends.
Wise man, as long as they're not your stones.
Love to just tap this yellow back just a tiny bit here. It's not bad. Hoping to tap it maybe 6 inches more. It's a pretty good attempt there by Danita. Tough to remove for the Koreans.
네, 좋을 것 같아요. 오케이. 아, 뒤로요?
아니.
프리즈죠.
여덟.
7번?
5번.
7번?
죽을 것 같아.
Lee Jongjai, 80% on the tournament, 9th among the thirds. Seeing some good numbers from a lot of players in the field. Sometimes 80 can be a little bit higher for the thirds, facing more difficult shots.
Clearly, Korea's problem has been to close out games. Losing 3 extra ends. He had the shot against Russia. It was a full forfeit draw, but came up a little heavy from the skipper. If they were just a little bit more focused on the line call, they could have saved that rock. Just slightly inexperienced, the 22-year-olds on the team. I think this foursome, though, from Korea could be a real force to be reckoned with in the years to come and leading up to Beijing.
And all these events will help them. You get the experience, you're playing against the best in the world. First game they're playing Team Canada, a 2-time world champ. A couple of players have them listed as their heroes, being Kevin Cooey, and you take them to an extra end.
Yeah. I mean, they're obviously technically very good and professionals.
Just touches the front, trying to go around for Shimizu. Japan just haven't had small windows in this game, but they haven't been able to make that shot when they have had the opening.
하나 더 나쁘지 않을 것 같은데.
정재 아니면 1점만 주려면 하나 더 가도 돼.
괜찮아요.
괜찮을 것 같아.
좋아? 상관없을 것 같아. 좋아?
Thought about playing the double here. I think that's the call in the end. I don't think there's a way you leave both reds in the house playing this.
치는 건 별론 것 같아. 각이 트리플 각인데.
You can make the double off of your own shot stone. One yellow would go as well, but you should definitely be able to remove both those reds. But now changing his mind again. He played the draw on the in-turn side here.
Wasn't sure if that corner guard would be in the way on this path.
And it's always in your mind a little bit, kicking out the hack. Quite easy to be a little bit soft and release. You just have to trust the broom and throw it normal. And hope it's going to curl.
Well, corner guard not in play. It's the center line ones. They're going to be all over again.
I just think it's just being a bit gun shy there. See the corner guard and you're afraid of overthrowing it. Also, that side hadn't been played very much. Not too much in the game, really. Something you need to keep an eye on. There's not a lot of frost, but there's a little bit. So if you leave one of the sides unplayed for a while, it will tend to slow down a little bit.
ちょっと広げたいし木割るのはどうあれ一回木割るのはどう黄色割ってさ、後ろの黄色だけ飛ぶでしょで、間空いて黄色赤になってたら微妙だなあ、飛ばしちゃってかどっちになってるじゃん今の投げたやつには止まっちゃいそうだ止まるわ
So the tap on the red one just thrown.
Hack weight, I think. He's pointing at his heel. That's pretty international for Hack. Anyway. With that maybe wanting to kill a yellow as well. Hack might not do enough, but would be tempting to maybe bring that redstone in the just hanging on into play.
Hack weight here to try and hold your shooter be an important one.
Yep. Shooter could be a point as well as a rock they can utilize. Just hanging high here for Shimizu. Wow. Seemed a bit baffled by that one, the whole team.
Everyone's sort of looking, what? How come that occurred?
Yeah, weight didn't seem to be too off. And but yeah, just a bit too much ice.
Looks like it is one red, that one top of the Pioneer button.
아니지, 너 빨간 도로 나가야지. 여기?
괜찮을 것 같아. 이거 하면
근데 우리도 두 개가 동시에 나갈 수 있는 확률이
이거 말고는 없어.
이게 있는데 와 너무 힘들어 보여. 아 이건 되게 어려워. 쉬운 거하고 어려운 거 주자.
자기들 거 있으니까 괜찮을 것 같아.
1점만.
얘 탭에도 괜찮아?
그거 나중에 볼게 정준아.
Now do you play the double if you're Korea?
많이 뻗네.
I mean, you
이쪽
could,
라인만 막으면 될 것
for
같아.
sure.
라인만 먼저 볼게요, 형님.
Also, you're not too worried about giving up a single point here. And how are Japan going to come in to score a second? The right-hand side is probably pretty choked off. Maybe their support to come through onto the backing of the Yellow Rock back four. But looking pretty tough. Wonder if this is just a guard from Korea.
77% from Soo Hyuk. Hasn't been forced with an angle run yet. Never afraid to call those, and I've seen this first few games very accurate with them.
스위치 안 해도 돼. 현준아. Yep. Yes. Whoa.
Okay.
Shut.
It was guarded. So, looking at the hole here, I don't think you can make the straight draw to the button, but you could play it with just back ring weight onto the yellow back four. Do you want to do it now, or do you want to try and open it up? That's the question for Japan. So if you try this and you miss it, then there's no way in for your last one. Tanida pointing at the guard, thinking, well, you can peel the guard. Korea probably puts it back, then we can try to hold.
Looked like the first thought was the red corner guard to tap back. I'm going to slide, as they discuss, right next to us. Scotland, Sweden playing their fourth end.
He tried to come around with his first one, Nicholas Udine, to set up for the deuce, but Bruce Mallet has effectively gotten the forced end here. Lots of play around the center line in this game. This will be a fourth consecutive force if this one settles in the forfeit.
And neither side really able to get anything going with the hammer there. So all singles and all square at two. They're through four ends, Scotland and Sweden. Well, our game, they decided on their shot, going after the corner guard, gonna try and tap it back. Yuta Matsumura. They're over curling where they want to hit it.
That was a pretty tough shot to make.
I don't know if he had the weight though to move that one. Didn't move that guard very far.
No, and again, it's that side that hasn't been played as much. All of them has been coming up short there, even in the previous end when they tried that draw coming up. Up short.
Did they leave a couple options by moving that corner guard?
I think that was a thought. You know, worst case we open it up and we open that draw for the second, but Korea might play it themselves.
T까지만 가면 돼. 딱 T.
And if they don't come in for shot stone here, just corner freeze the red, top 8, anything to take away the draw for the second point.
와, 왜 이렇게 6? 네, 약해도 괜찮을 것 같아요.
진짜 센 6이 아니고 그냥
앞에 가도 되니까.
그냥 죽여가자, 그치? 세면 죽이면 될 것 같아, 이 라인을.
오케이.
왜 또 6에서 6방?
Shot here without the hammer, Kim Soo-hyuk. Trying to win game number 1 for Team Korea.
얘들아, 야, 야,
Lead
야,
4-1.
야, 보내 주고.
다섯
괜찮으니까 계속 가줘.
계속 오자
조금만 더, 어깨만 막아줘.
계속 오자
헐!
노란도 뒤로 와서
헐, 조금만 더. 얘들아, 조금만 더.
괜찮아. 좀만 더.
조금만 더. 아,
Like you said, Sander just blocks that path and really that corner guard to the angle raise.
Yeah, that was always the tolerance there.
아, 미안. 아, 좋았어.
Could have put it right in the button there. Maybe stole a point, but that's good there.
Well, this was a key shot and could have swung back. Momentum for Japan. Kim Soo-hyuk, his last shot. After a great hit and roll by Matsumura. Kim able to get to it. To score their 2, they just get by the front. And they scored 2. High fives all around for Korea as they get their 2 in that third end. Important, that could have been a big swing. You wreck on the guard, it's a steal. All of a sudden, it's a tie game instead of 4-1. As this are throwing it away, or are they thinking that you might be able to throw it out, have it curl to get to the edge of that one to tap it?
Don't think so. Abel already pointing at the red stone and the button to signalize it's a single point. This was just a throwaway.
And probably smart call. Nothing really you could do to get that second point. Second force for Japan. Textbook curling for Korea. They lead 4-2 after 4.
이점차 후공이야. 스틸만 안 당하고 1점만 따고 가도 괜찮으니까 지금은 엔드 버려도 돼.
그러니까 병진이 샷 밀리면은 바로 열어도 될 것 같아.
센터가 칠 거니까. 그러니까 지금은 일단 하우스 안에 들어와야 되고 6도 안 되고 TD도 안 돼.
8.
8, 7. 아, 네가 하는 게 아니야. 우리가 만들어내는 거니까 너 편하게 좀 뽑지마.
이마 내기를가. 다 해.
絶対チャンス来るから、一回はもう。
誰
外側使うときはちょっと重たいぐらい。外側、8の外から投げるときはちょっと重たいぐらい。
見た感じ、どうだった ?13.3 とかなんだけど、多分縦でノーズして T ライン届かないぐらいだと思う。
届かない。
斜めだったら全然届かない。
country flags hanging here at the NMAX Center. Korea, Japan can't get away from one another. They play battle here in session 9. Japan got the upper hand en route to a Pacific Asia title. Qualified Japan for this World Championship. Korea had to go through the World Qualifier. It was Korea and Netherlands. They got to the World Championship through that. In the 13-team field, 4-2 is the score. Korea, 2 deuces, 2 forces. Coming into a game, that's what a coach would say. Be effective with the hammer and get forces, and you're going to have success.
Maybe looking to keep that up here, although Korea might consider blanking this end. Coming to the midway point in the game, you start looking at that scoreboard, you're thinking, well, maybe control the even ends.
Just a little bit deep. Slight opening for Japan now. Get some separation with these 2 guards.
정진아 가드 많으면 돼. 8T.
7 가자 7.
So Japan elects, if Korea's stone was in front of the T line, would they have maybe had a different freeze it as opposed to the second center?
Yeah, yeah, potentially. Because now Korea, they won't get full control of the top of the house here. Japan really only needs to move 1 yellow rock to open up the button again. And they'll actually slip deep once more. This is perfect for Japan, except 2 center guards are left at an angle and kind of close together. The double becomes pretty easy for Korea, but this is good news.
Need to make this one?
Yeah, this is a good setup shot. And that's why the seconds, you know, maybe in the past you looked at the second there, just need to smash everything and play the hits. But so often as a second, your first rock of an end chasing a game, really key, because this could be the stone they might be guarding for the rest of the end. Could be the stolen point. If you make a good one, wouldn't mind a slight tap here. Again, just to make that old pocket.
Yes, 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 yes,
Make a triangle. This one, I don't know, they felt like they lost that one. Could have definitely swept that one onto the O. Would have been better.
Trying to get a look on the big screen is Tanita to see exactly where it is.
That was a bit strange to me.
Leaving it, and then the late brush.
Yes, 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 yes,
I'm not sure
yes,
if they got
yes,
shot
yes,
stone
yes,
there,
yes.
which means that Japan will have to make a play on it. They might be okay with the force though, so that's fine, but it seemed a bit sloppy to not just sweep out a couple more inches.
Field doesn't remove both of them. They get the one. Still that one back button that is shot. Too early to try and move him now?
Yeah, come in, you move him. Korea's going to have a lot of time to come after and move the rocks themselves and try and open up that forfeit. I think a guard would be great for Japan, except the guard they have is halfway between the house and the hog line. Hard to find enough distance to not leave a double, but you could even be in the top 12 here. Gonna throw a pretty tight guard. You want to see Korea peel that top guard, and you throw on a couple more guards, and then eventually We make maybe a little tap on the red in the house. Just all about delaying the move. And pulling up short. Should make the double pair pretty easy, but actually
It's an interesting, it's an odd angle.
it is. You would have to catch it pretty thick or really thin. Most likely they'll try and catch about 80% of this rock.
Look at the to go and the amount of sweat that's going on in a warmer building. Abe Shimizu trying to get this one as far as possible. Actually seeing some players bringing towels out to wipe their brow.
Well, this is the worst kind of miss. Not even close.
조금만 더 집중하자.
Wrong side of the rock.
아 이거 괜찮은 샷이었어. 쉬운 샷이었어.
Takes away that
조금만 더 집중하자.
left path to the button as we see it, and that would be certainly the path Korea would like to keep open. Now Japan might come around and play a tap on the red.
Yeah, see, still the deep breathing. All those reps you do at the gym paying off here now. And a long week. A lot of work out there. 12-game round robin.
This one catching curl early. Has to be all over the guard. Wow, that is a huge mistake.
Opens up that center line. Access to that stone top button.
Calling down his team here, Kim.
Looking in closely from the coach's bench in behind to get the one timeout.
우리가 백가드만 없으면 돼 대신. 안으로 맞아도 나쁘진 않은데 맞고 난 뒤에 확실히 벌어줘야 돼.
그게 좋을 것 같아 이게.
아니면 나 첫애 생각하니까 필로 그냥 발라내버릴까. 두개 나가도 상관없으니까. 근데 다 나가버리면 다시 공격 들어오니까.
가드가 살아 있으니까 최대한 살리고 가는 걸로 핵 괜찮을 것 같아.
핵? 노멀? 핵으로 바꿨죠? 아니 얘 핵. 잠깐만. 핵으로 바깥쪽이면 확실하게 얘네들 숨어버려. 좋다고 싸우지 여기서. 우리가 많이 돌아서 이게 좋을 것 같은데 오히려 퍼트리는 게 차라리.
아 제일 좋은 거 이건데 같이 날아가는 거.
그러니까 우리 게 안에 숨어서 얘가 점수가 될 거야. 숨어주면. 얘는 다 오픈 될 거고 백가드 두 개만 벌리자고.
네 괜찮아. 웨이트.
웨이트 백업.
핵.
핵이면 얘 나가버리지 않을까?
안 나갈 거.
얘가 좀 밀려야 되지 않을까? 나는 많이 밀려야 될 것 같아.
아니 근데 이 각이 위로 서 있어서 얘가 두껍게만 맞아주면 쓸 건데 너무 딱 맞아버리면 빠져버릴 것 같아서.
나는 핵.
오케이. 안쪽으로만. 네.
Sandra, all this trouble that Korea's looking at right now, those lead stones in the back of the forefoot.
Yeah. Here the lead, and you see how much trouble you've ended up in because of it. It's never fun. They get a chance here to make it right. I'm gonna chase this red stone. I'm gonna throw a lot away here. Just hack, maybe board, catch it on the high side. Red goes on to yellow. You're trying to squeeze that red out of the forefoot, and also just move their own yellows about a little bit. Just create a bit of room, get some separation. Try and roll the shooter away as well. This one's starting to overcurl. Both teams struggling on that side of the sheet. Seems to be a bit more curl.
Very weight sensitive. You bring your weight down, it's going to curl that much more.
Oh yes. I've seen quite a lot of overcurls here, and I thought it was because this side of the sheet has been left a lot unplayed, but it was just curling a tad more overall. So take more ice or throw it a bit more positive.
Japan coming in, or are they guarding for their life with those 3 yellows still in the house?
I think it's tempting to come in, maybe freeze your own, freeze the yellow, just get in there. Sit in the corner of this yellow, right in the pocket. That's pretty good. They actually lie too.
There's a lot of room for error on that one. It could have been corner frozen. They could go to their own.
Yeah, it's more about the line there.
Let's see if they figure out this spot. Jong Jai. Another big sweep. Goodbye. And again, leave their stone in front on the nose hit.
Pretty good shot. It's hard to do much more. Right now that red stone is just accessible through the hole. Good guard it. You know, Kim So-hyuk, he plays those big shots, the run backs. Never going to feel 100% safe.
Well, they just have not much to do with those yellow stones. They're sitting in the front. We'll look in Norway, Italy. Italy leading this one 3-2 over Norway and have last rock.
Yeah, Italy's been all over Norway throughout the whole game, really. It's been the Norwegian skip at Amsfjord keeping them in the game, but this time he couldn't make that cross-house roll to get frozen. Sits in the open, and it's just a nose hit to score the 2 for Joel Retornas.
And just like that, no problem. Italy sitting at 2-2, get their 2, and they go up 5-2 over Norway in that one. Norway still looking for win number 1.
Oh, and a big mistake by Matsumura. And our game comes up a little heavy. He was looking to tap the yellow in the top 4 back and sit kind of half frozen, guarding his own red, but slips off. Definitely leaves a hole through.
Probably doesn't matter, those stones in the back, if they jam on it.
No. Let's looking to see if they can score 3 here, but because the 2 reds are side by side, so close together, it's actually quite hard to make the double. Or making a double isn't necessarily hard, but your shooter will have a tendency to then catch the second one too thin and just spin up and out of the forfeit. It'll be hard to hold the shooter. Maybe you hit the outside red ultra thin. Don't play, no need to play too much weight, but then again, you don't have a lot of room to navigate past here.
Is nose the end of the world?
No, nose you score a 2. And you're tying up the game. I think, but if you overcurl and catch a double, you score 2 as well. So it's where it's well worth trying.
We'll sit on the corner of it, so they'll sit 1-2.
That actually works out pretty well.
Japan's in some trouble right now.
이쪽이 용가드라서 쥐로 잡고 좀 세게 쳤어.
You have to guard and try and take away their best chance for a real big end. Try and get in between them, but sits right on the corner. Thought I heard bumper weight try and roll in front.
Yeah, might even make the double on the 2 yellows on the left-hand side of the forfeit. Maybe just try and roll on top of the stone just thrown by Kim So-hyuk. That would make it difficult to score 2 for sure.
Oh, another big sweep. Hits, rolls on the corner. Shot for Korea.
Yeah, that's pretty good, I think. Korean line 1. I don't think they can do much else than maybe just draw for 2. Massive sweep.
They held that line just enough to make that roll. Don't think he can play weight. Try and get to the button for a second point. Korea's done a real good job working themselves out of having those stones behind the tee line early in the end. Can't throw any weight at that. The yellow probably spills out with those 3 stones together.
Yeah. Just gonna have to draw here. Make sure not to run out of rings, but you have that yellow rock sitting lonely on the side of the forfeit. You can chisel off of it if you ever hover curl.
So we need to get this full 4-foot piece of the button. 3rd deuce of the first half of this game for Korea. Jeong Hwang got to wait for it to curl, get by, now get it fully in. Very nice. Get the little rub and sit there. And it is another 2 for Korea. They now have a 6-2 lead at the break. Solid start for Korea, trying to get win number 1.
야, 약하다 해서 내가 보내버렸어. 그래서 라인이 뻗친 거야. 잘 기다렸어.
どうすかね。4点差。4点差。원 던져주면 돼.
First end and real good chance to start off on a good note for Korea. Just the open draw to the house. Kim So-hyuk able to draw in, get there 2, an early 2-0 lead. Second end, and it looked at one point Japan might have had something going to try and get 2 back. Unable to. Korea positioned for the force, and Yuta Matsumura has to draw the 8-foot. Pick up a single point with the hammer. They will guide that one in. So a single for Japan to cut into the Korean lead. And third end, really a fun end back and forth. Matsumura makes a great hit and roll on his last. And now Kim Soo-hyuk has to answer back with a fantastic touch shot on his last. Quiet way, taps it through, avoids their own, and scores a deuce. They had one more deuce and a fourth, so up 6-2 in our feature game. Well, Scotland leading Sweden 3-2, only singles in that game as they play in 6. And Italy 5-2 in a comfortable lead over Norway on sheet D.
Grabbing? We never saw that the first time we played? Okay. Well, we're not out of this yet. We got 5 rock rule. Grabbing? We never saw that the first time we played?
Well, here's the numbers through 5 ends of play. 6-2 Korea leading. And the numbers will tell the story as well. 81 to 73% overall percentage. Draw percentage 77 to 70%. Korea 86% on their hits to 79 for Japan. No steals. All deuces by Korea. 2 singles by Japan. They'll have the hammer to start the second half of this game down by 4. Second half of our feature game, Japan-Korea, from Lethbridge in the NMAX Center. Pioneer Hi-Bred World Men's Curling Championship 2019. 3 of the 4 sheets in play. We're on sheet B this morning. Korea leading 6-2. Have been efficient with the hammer. Good forcing Japan for singles. And Korea trying to keep the momentum going to try and pick up win number 1. Caught with that 5th end trap of being a little quicker. They will slide that one deep in the rings. Jung Byung-jin just coming out strong. The teams take a break, but the ice maker and the ice crew will go out and just run the mops up and down the ice. Ends up being a little bit quicker. Abe, 93% on the game, above his tournament average. Sometimes you'll see players out of that 5th end break, especially early, have a guard slide into the rings. You saw that first one go deep by Korea. And the 5 rock rule will allow for corner guards to be in play. 78%. Jung Byung-jin. Well, they still managed to get a 2 last end despite his 2 stones being behind the tee line. They really had to work to get positioning back after that. They were behind the 8 ball early and are going to be again in this 6th end. His first 2, not where they want. Both go back part of the house.
Classic 6th end trap. Icemakers go out and mop the sheet. Becomes a little quicker, a little keener.
So second corner guard, and this one will be trying to be just over the hog line.
Yeah, does a couple of things. You know, you can throw a corner on the other side, but then you take away both passes to the forefoot. And this, even with a little bit of a stagger, you get more cover. So like a hit and roll becomes easier.
Hwang Hyung-jun, 78% below his tournament numbers.
Korea would ideally have been looking to put rock top 4, top 8, and throw a center guard, but with those 2 rocks on the back, they're going to bring this one into the top 12. Could see Japan just ignore it, come straight around. Looks like that's exactly what they'll do. If those yellows were lined up before the tee line, Japan would probably have to make a play on them.
Tanita, 73%, well below his tournament numbers of 84. Here, Abe trying to get this one a curl, get it behind the corner.
한 번만, 진짜 한 번만. 이거.
Definitely exposed, and chance for Hwang to be able to get at that one.
나이 괜찮아.
나 약간 있어.
나이 좋아. 얍. 정진아 와야 돼.
라인만 봐.
많이 돌아 이거. 안으로 막혔어. 계속 와.
맞고 가야 돼.
좀만 더.
That one over curl on them.
잠깐만. 지금 우리가
Perfect little setup for Japan to start the end. Want to have a chance to use the corner guards.
The over curl there, not great. Looks like Japan still shot stone. And they can use that yellow. Corner freeze it. Set 2. Korea in all kinds of trouble.
Just that extra little bit of weight. Chips, rolls off. Japan lying 2, but we'll see how long.
Leaves a double for Korea. That's a huge opportunity missed.
아, 필러 두껍게 올게. 이거 잼 날 것 같아.
Lee Jong-jae, 78%. Pretty close to his tournament numbers. Make the double. Get away with that one in the back. It's Korea lying 4 here in end number 6. Japan trying to set it for at least 2. They haven't been able to score more than a single in the game.
Go.
Tetsuro Shimizu has had struggles in this one.
Yeah,
58%.
Really struggle on draws. 42% on his 6 draws so far. This one looking maybe a tad hot as well. It's never fun to have those days where draw weight seems to be a guess every time.
Yeah, you have a little bit of an opening. You have some stones, corner guard to use.
Okay.
Right through, we'll remove that one. Roll over, so now a handful in there. 5 for Korea. Still, though, that pocket to try and freeze to. Shimizu look to pick up his numbers now. Just not quite on the corner, just almost beside it. Second shot. Kim Soo-hyuk, 93% on the game. His 4th trip to a world championship. Last was 2016, finished 11th. To help, is it over curling? And they will over curl, and it's still second shot for Japan.
Second time they've done that, Korea. Perfect weight, just over curling, and it's not very helpful.
Discussion how to try and go about and scoring your 2 for Japan. Keep you up to date with what's going on. Scotland, Sweden right next door on sheet C.
I just call a timeout to discuss this, actually. It was a nice draw by Bruce Mount to the back 4, and you would think any normal skip would just play a heavy draw for the single, but they're looking to run the corner guard back, catch the redstone and the forfeit, maybe the one in the back 12 as well. It could be for 3 or 4. This is a huge risk. And the 6th in and everything. Don't seem like they're liking it, though. It's going to be 1 for Scotland.
They got on the sweep almost to make sure it didn't go across the top and steal a 2. So the first single that's not with the hammer goes to Scotland, and they have a 4-2 lead.
Seemed like a weird call, and a bit forced, especially being the 6th end. Maybe you score your 1, you're tied. It's controlling the even ends, but maybe just a bit frustrated. It's only been singles that whole game. Wanted to make something happen.
Sort of got a little bit of a sniff and wanted to take a full run at it, but now Matsumura, who needs to score multiple points in our feature game at 69% on the game.
Considered playing the freeze again, but maybe didn't want to leave this shot stone in the back 4 for too long.
So it's just in time to be 1-2. Stopped just in time. It was close to actually rolling too far. Had that number of hits for Matsumura in this game.
Korea quite apt to just hit the open red here, turn roll back, getting behind cover. They'll have those yellows finally helping them for this one. Either you get fully bird or you might even roll frozen on your own yellow. It'd be very hard for Japan to score there too.
Real big brush, trying to make this hit and stick. Got to make sure you touch it. And they barely move it, but they move it enough.
I think so. I think to get away with it. It's a draw for 2, but the 3's not in play.
No, there's 3 that are out counting it. As much as Japan would love to be able to bring it in, they do get their chance to score a 2. Exactly what Japan needed coming out of that 5th end break. Here's a look at the hog-to-hog time. Try and draw this one into the 4-foot. Just a light clean from Shimizu. Just casually getting by that stone out front. Goes back button for the 2nd point. Japan will get their 2. And they cut the lead in half. Now 6-4. Korea leading, heading to the 7th end. The first deuce for Japan comes in the 6th end. Makes it 6-4. Still lots of work to do. They need to get some forces without the hammer. Korea's been able to get 3 2s on the board in this game. Look here at Sander Rovog. And lead stones for Korea have cost them last end. Could have cost them the end before. Japan's got to start making them punish a little bit with those stones deep in the rings.
And I think this is where maybe some of the games for Korea slipped away. They started to buckle a little bit in the last couple of ends. The young lads on the team, the lead. Just gonna keep putting the rocks in the right place.
Now, as a coach, is it something you come out and you're saying, let's just focus on this, make sure on little things to try and finish out the game?
It's just maybe just try not to stress out too much and just relax. Just say, you know, you're good players. No need to overthink it. You're so afraid, you know, you're up in a game. You don't want to be dropping guards as a lead. You think, oh, well, I need to make it to the rings, and then you come up heavy, and that's no good either, really.
So that's 3 straight ends deep in the house. Is that 2 in the 6th end would sort of sway the game a little bit, momentum towards Japan. Right now sit at 4-1. They don't want to drop a second straight. Against a Korean team that has yet to pick up a win here.
Again, Shinya Abe not quite able to put those guards in the right spot either. Ideally, you want a tight guard, a long guard, but also perfectly lined up. This leaves enough of an angle for Korea to make the double later on.
See what Jung Byung-jin can do here with his second. That one goes top 4 foot. But because the line couldn't really sweep to try and get it fully buried. Well, little tap. Shot stone still for Korea.
Double very much available. If you're real good, you might get the 3rd red in the house as well. Get everything moving.
Get it back, pick that one out.
Pretty good. Didn't get all 3, but got 2 of them.
Just the 1 center line guard. Those 2 back beyond the T line. Tanita will try and weld one on. Just a bit on the outside, tapping it back. Still shot stone for Korea.
Call timeout here, actually. I think you probably just ripped the guard. But only 2 points up. It's tempting to maybe come after the red and sit 3. Don't want to be forced either in the odd end.
지금 해봤자 또 프리즈 붙으면 또 힘들어져.
그래서 여기다가
자, 잠깐만. 히트 롤만 돼도 프리즈 하면 우리가 1, 2번에 그때 해도 되지 않을까?
근데 안 될 시 우리가 TD니까.
TD가 지금
진짜 정확히 들어가지 않는 이상은
그냥 깨면 얘네 뭐 가다거나 칠 거 아니야 프리자거나. 그때
Korea line one decision. Whether you peel or you try and hit and roll off that one in the rings.
이러고 후공으로 그냥 편하게 1점 보자는 거지. 1점까지는.
이러는 건 나쁘지 않아. 남기고 안 싸워도 될 것 같아.
지금은
너무 빨라. 내 샷이었으면.
타이밍이 좀 빠르긴 한데.
뭐 해야 될 것 같아?
아, 죄송해요. 제가 지금
Lee
생각이 너무
Ji-ho,
많아서
team coach.
얘기하고
아니, 좋아. 쉬어가는 건 한 템포 쉬어가는 건 좋은데
지금 욕심일까요?
지금 히트롤?
네.
아이,
욕심?
T 뒤에 있기 때문에 히트롤이 안 좋은 거야. T 위에 있으면 히트롤이 좋은데 이게 만약에 보여지면 쟤네가 붙이지. 그거 안 치지. 센터가 살아있는데.
나 그래서 이제 히트 롤 하고 난 뒤에 프리즈 하면 그때 이러도 되겠다 생각했어.
레이트롤이 안 되지.
아이, 그렇지. 안 됐을 때. 안 돼서 쓰거나 벌어지거나 하면은 이게 T 뒤에 우리께 그냥 열려버려서 프리즈 되면은 그때 열면은 쟤네가 가드하기 시작하면 다시 상황이 거꾸로 되잖아.
예,
지금도 열고 니샷 가서 그때 쳐도 돼.
예. 일단 패스한다.
그럼 안 되면 1점 괜찮아. 아니 블랭크 가도 충분하니까.
네. 미안.
너 천천히.
수혁아 그것만은 이거 욕심 부리지 마. 지금 필할 때.
What do you think? Peel the guard after the timeout?
Yeah, no, peel the guard, you're most likely being able to score. You start playing around that center guard, you make a mistake, there's a better chance you might give up a steal. This is the safer play. Still lots of rocks left in the end. Because you know Japan's going to have to make a move. They're not shot stone. They're going to have to move that yellow or freeze on top of it. So Korea has the luxury of playing the waiting game.
Well, Shimizu put this one back out in front. Again, the peel right back. Looking at Italy and Norway. Norway looking for win number one. They trail 5-3 in the seventh end.
A draw for Joel Retornas. Couldn't quite make out if they're lying one. I think maybe if it's a draw for the single or for the two. We'll see the rocks in the 8-foot here. That red and that yellow, it's pretty close. And this draw is actually a little bit deep.
Looks like a steal to me. I think it might be that red one.
They're going to measure it.
Be a big measure for Norway. We'll update you once we know what the score is there. Could have been a possibility. One for sure, maybe two for Italy, but it could be a steal now with the draw being deep. Well, after the timeout, no real discussion of what the call is for this Korean side. Just keep that front clear.
ここガード系そうだね、ここのフリーズっていう
Skip
か
stones.
間に入り込む感じで。
Freeze on that stone back button.
That is the call. Just put it right
6だったらね、こっち側
on
ちょっと
top of that
収ま
yellow.
ってないから
Weld it. Could maybe play the double and roll away, but you'd leave a double back for Korea. You might get a blank end, which is not what Japan wants here. Ideally steal, but even a force would be okay. Be 3 down with hammer in the even ends.
ラインはいいよ。ラインズゲット。ラインズゲット。ラインズゲット。イエス。ラインズゲット。イエス。イエス。いい感じだよ。上といい感じだよ。イエス。イエス。はい。イエス。イエス。イエス。イエス。
They end up coming beside their own.
I think they maybe got away with it. Not easy to remove.
Just to update you, it was a steal of 1 for Norway, so they're down 5-4, playing the 8th end. We'll coffee break and get ready for the 8th end of that one. Norway trying to win game number 1.
이쪽으로 치면 이쪽으로 최대한 얇게 쳐야 돼.
최대한 얇게.
밀어내자.
Risky play going after the double.
Well, you kind of have to open up the forefooot here.
너무 잘 붙었어.
웨이트.
필로 가야 돼. 얇게 맞고.
Skinny double, I think, kind of in the pocket. If you get them both moving, maybe even a yellow. Maybe it opens up for the blank even.
Whoa. Whoa. Yep. Whoa. Yep. Yep. Whoa. Whoa. Yep. Yep.
Just thin off the top. Get both the reds and a yellow. Just the one now in the rings.
There you go, blank in play.
Do take the risk, play the freeze if you're Japan. Try and get a force out of it.
You might do, but
Hit that one perfectly. Now when you're feeling it, it's easy to put the broom down and make those calls.
Japan's not going to take the risk. The freeze would have to be so perfect for Kim So-hyuk not to just peel it out and blank the end anyway. You ever slightly off with the freeze, you give away a 2 and the game's over.
So right on the nose, and this Korea will try and maintain the hammer into the 8th end. Keep it 6-4. So this to hold on to the hammer. Kim So-hyuk. No problem, hit, roll out. And zeros a blank 7th end. Korea maintains their 2-point lead and holds on to hammer with 3 ends remaining here between Japan and Korea.
아까 또 길은 아니다って言ってんのに言うたら6って言って帰ってきてやつが吐きながらずっと混乱してた。なんだろう。
1점만 가져가면 돼.
이번엔 넘기는 게 좋아.
넘겨도 돼.
넘기가 제일 좋고 열어주고
2점 따도
1점만
좋아.
가져가면 돼.
2점 따면 1점 주고
아니
그냥
2점까지 욕심내지 말고.
1점 따도
아니 문제니까 샷잘 되고 오픈 잘하면 2점 나와.
수공. 수공.
머스? 어차피 광고 시간 자연스럽게 빠진다.
the big screen overhead. The NMAX Center. As we play the 8th end of the Pioneer Hi-Bred World Men's Curling Championship 2019, 6-4. Korea still with the advantage. Now they have the hammer here.
もうちょいもうちょいいい感じいい感じいい感じナイスナイスナイスナイス16.7
아니야 너무 약할 쳤으면 감으로 해 이런 게.
Is it to a point now for Japan? Do you go all out? Steals what you got to do?
Yeah, you need to steal in this end to have a proper chance. You regain the control of the even ends too. You'll be 1 point behind if you steal a single here. You'll be forced in the 9th. They're 2 down coming home. Definitely a chance. If Korea scores here, they'll be in really good form.
More important, get these guards in position for Abe.
Finally a Korean lead rock in front of the tee line. It's been a couple of ends.
ラインも良さそう。超えるよ、ホールはもう。ちょっと近いかも。ほら、ほら、ほら、ほら。
Trying to get this just over the hog line. Comparison of the leads and numbers: 95% for Abe. Jung Byungjin, 77.
A lot of those deep draws. Chinyaba hasn't, he's put the guards in play, but hasn't necessarily been perfectly lined up. This is a bit better from Abe. They're still close enough together that Korea might make a double on them, but it's not a bad start.
Now drawn to the wing.
This is a rock that could be an extra point for Korea, like later on in the end.
Could have been.
Could have been, yes.
Another one deep.
It's not the worst mistake. The first one is in a good spot, top 8 foot. Kind of takes away the path to the button for Japan. And it's hard to really tap back. You can't really tap it back to the back of the 4 and sit on top. It doesn't really work out too well. They're going to freeze it to begin with.
It's all set up shots because of where that one is positioned for Korea.
14.5
Well, we have the double peel, open up the front. Perfect shot, clears the front, rolls a little bit off the center. Comparison of the seconds. Tanita 75%, Hwang 80%, pretty close. But the hits, just 2 of them for Tanita in Japan.
ちょっとタイト気味そのままかなそのまま俺は声がするそのままそのままクリーン
Well, we'll see this for a little bit, back and forth. And Korea want to try and get both the guards. I'm just going to go for the one. So just the straight peel And again, Japan will put it back out in front. Just replace it. It's the cat and mouse game, waiting till who will make their move late in the end. Japan's going to probably have to make theirs first.
Yeah, it's kind of a little bit the same as the previous end where Korea's shot stone. They know Japan's going to have to make the move if they want to steal. For now, they're just happy keeping it open. Just scoring the single for Korea is huge.
Well, play the peel won't clip anything in the rings. Still those two in the top part of the house. Shimizu, look at the low numbers on the draws. Lee also lower on his draw numbers, but many more hits. Almost 20% better for Lee Jongjae. Guard comes to rest. Out in front, another peel. Keep you up to date with what's going on right next door. Scotland, Sweden on sheet C.
That's been some excellent curling. Nadine made a double and roll in behind the corner. Bruce Mount comes around to set shot stone, but then a corner freeze from Nadine, forcing Bruce Mount to draw for the single.
Line's good.
Just to set the table, Scotland is 1-3, Sweden 5-0.
I've got you a little hot.
Be a really important game for Scotland. If you can pick up a win here, not only for the win-loss record, but just to build a little bit of confidence and get the ball rolling.
So they get their one up 5-3 over Sweden. Only singles in that game. The difference, though, a steal in the sixth end by Scotland.
Key. Good. Was that kind of end where 1-2 was above us? Yeah. We got it, but yeah, that was just a foot heavy.
But again, another peel, and now does Matsumura make the play now?
Yep. Just looking at the broom, I wonder if they might be considering coming around everything. Don't need to be in the forefoot, just even back 4, almost back 8 foot, just find some cover. Having to come a bit wider. Will the speed be the same?
Looks pretty close, just got to keep this one moving. Try and get the late finish as well. As it goes, just maybe nibbling the edge of the button.
It's a good try, but leaves a double for Korea.
Get the comparisons of the skips. Matsumura below that of Kim Soo-hyuk, 84 overall for Kim. Matsumura lower with his draw numbers. A little bit of separation will allow here for the double. Well, do they get by, make the double? They'll jam it and roll it in to an even better spot.
Wow. That leaves a stagger on the 2 yellows as well. Not sure if Korea's going to be able to get to it, especially if Japan throws a guard here. I think right now they might see enough of the Yellowstone in the 8 foot to run it back. So gonna have to take that shot away. That's what they'll do. Just throw a guard
2個目の黄色の上だね。
just on the right side of the center line, and I'm not sure if Korea can score.
ちょうど当たれば行くぐらい。
Might have to see them play an angled run.
Yeah, and I don't know if
Maybe there.
tough angle on that one. All the double just missed.
3、ちょっと近そうだ。近そう。近そう。あ、入っちゃう
Sweepers
な。
ラインは悪くない
been
よ。
tired, but at the same time wish they would have some control on this one. Just wanting it to stop.
ナイス。
Looks pretty good.
What is there?
이거 보여?
The long guard can definitely be run in.
너무 가까워.
Yellow onto red. Can even score a couple that way.
2번.
It's probably the best angle, but it's also the longest one to run in.
ちょっと離れね。
I don't think you can hurt yourself. Looking at the other ones as well. I think the long one's a better angle.
Handcuffed himself on missing that double and rolling that one into a better spot.
여기 많이 돌잖아요.
Does love to play these shots though.
오케이.
Angled runs and offs. He's played a lot of them this week even. Made a couple at the Pacifics as well.
1점 괜찮아?
네, 괜찮아요.
Pretty low percentage shot, but let's get clinched a win right here. If they even score 1 would be huge. They never scored 2, and that's probably the game.
So yellow would have to go on to the other yellow in the 8-foot.
Yep.
Long run back here. Kim Soo-hyuk.
Sounds close.
Well, get the right angle and won't get past that top one. And it is a steal of 1, a much needed steal by Japan. They're within 1 with 2 ends remaining. 6-5, Korea leading. They'll still have the hammer heading to the 9th end.
씨. もう一回だな。もう一回だ。
Ninth end, our feature game, the Pioneer Hi-Bred World Men's Curling Championship 2019. 6-5. Sander, you said it earlier. They haven't been able to finish off games, that being Korea. They had the 6-2 lead into the break. Now 6-5, playing in this 9th end. Japan starts center line guard. Is Japan in all-out steal mode, or is the force still alive for them?
Yeah, force wouldn't be horrible. Just 2 down, and last rock with that 5-rock rule. We've seen a couple of games even just this week. He determined to score 3. Looking for the tech shot here, but this one's nowhere close.
There's some panic in the upon release. Not sure if something.
Yeah, either he caught something or he just fumbled the release somehow. Not sure. It's not a bad option though, drawing the wing.
Really good on them for staying with it, that you make something of that shot.
Yeah. You never want to give up on shots.
Well, the 2 centers lined up not bad. There's not as much separation as in a perfect world.
No, and we haven't really seen that from Shinyabe in the entire game.
Jong Byung-jin try and put this one top part of the house.
거의 가. 라인만 봐요.
괜찮아, 라인. 숨어도 돼.
Right in behind. And Sander, Italy leading 5-4 against Norway, but an accumulation of yellow stones in the house.
That seems to be a curse on Norway. Could be a 4th game in a row where they give up a 5-ender. That would obviously kill the game. It's probably over already, even if Retornus doesn't make the draw. But line is good. T-line weight, it's all I hear from the sweepers and the vice in the house. This is going to be another 5 in the face of Norway. Bringing in Stefan Wallstad didn't help today.
Still give up another 5. And that is a final. So the 5 finishes it off. Italy with the win. Norway still looking for win number 1. They're 0-5 now. Italy improves to 3-2 with that 10-4 win. We'll see what Norway does to try and change it up, to change their luck, because it's been 4 straight games giving up a 5-ender.
I'll go out on a limb and say that's never happened before.
Yeah, I'll probably second that one. As you see the run back attempt, they'll end up picking their own out, playing the double peel, and still leaves some stones on the center line and blocking draw paths. Almost gets away without touching their own. So we'll get another setup where Japan can execute and they can put the pressure on. Tsumasa Tanida. Both these teams trying to get to the playoffs, trying to improve on their nation's best finishes. Best finish for both are 4th. Last year, Korea finishing 4th. 2016, it was 4th for Japan. Their female counterparts both making the playoffs. Those are the 2 that were in the bronze medal game, with Korea winning bronze at the World Women's. Run back right by everything, from bad to catastrophic now for the Korea.
You know, I haven't seen many Korea games this week, but I'm starting to understand how the games have been slipping through their fingers playing this way. The defensive game's just not up to scratch. The tick shot, nowhere close, and the peels are just not there. It's strange to me because they look to be sliding so well and so steady coming out the hack on those peels, just not able to pull off the shots.
ラインはいい感じ。クリーン、クリーン。クリーン。OK、まだだ、まだだ。まだあるよ。
Japan has the guards now. Try and put another one in behind. But just goes back 8 foot.
13.4。
Shimizu is still struggling with draw weight in this game.
やっぱね、갈 거면 앞에 걸로 가야 될 것 같아.
진짜 이거 안 맞으면 진짜 좀 안 좋아질 수 있어. 자, 이쪽으로 바로 봐도 될 것 같은데.
딱 보여.
전 이거 하고 그냥 날아가면 가드 치면 그냥 그때 넣어야 될 것
자, 한 번 더
같은데.
볼게.
예.
슈터 바로 하죠.
It's going to slash the top one onto the red corner guard. Just going to make sure not to jam it and spin it back onto the center line. But with that corner removed, they at least open up that side as well, in case they need to draw for the single. It's the tight one instead. That's a much better result, actually.
It rolls the shooter off. Still Japan lying 2. They'll try and plug up the center.
Pretty sure the call was the slash on the corner, but they'll take it. And with the setup of the end here, you wonder if Korea might even just play to give up a single to be tied coming home. You might even see some teams do that on purpose.
It's all that positioning, wanting to have the hammer. And what's better, being 2 up without or tied with.
Well, it's kind of stats and analytics we'll probably see more of when the season's over. First season, well, at least then World Curling Federation competitions, all the World Championships with the 5-rock rule.
Yeah, and teams will be tracking that, see what works best for them. And as well as a skip, being comfortable. Are you okay playing without the hammer? Down or up 2? How do you manage that?
Because even if the overall stats might leave an edge for one or the other, you as a team need to see where you're winning games.
And another miss, just not missing them the right way.
No, and that's often the experience, you know, just knowing the tolerance. What's a good miss? What's the bad miss? And we're just seeing a lot of bad misses from Korea.
At what point do you try and give up on making the shot the way you want it? Call the sweepers off so it can overcurl.
Well, when you throw in peel weights, there's not a lot of room for altering the shot. It's hard to make that call too, as soon as it's out of hand. And obviously, your first reaction is to try and make the shot intended. So often, halfway through, call them off or call them on, depending on what you're trying to do, and just end up with something in between. So everything very clogged up. There's just no way into the forfeit for the Koreans. It could be very frustrating for Kim So-hyuk to be watching this end unravel.
Didn't have much of a run back in the last end, but is there an opening now to get at one of them?
This is maybe a small saving grace. Could chase it, but there's also now an angle for the run back. Could get all 3. It's time for the skip to step up to the plate here. 12 years older than the rest of the team. It's like, okay, kids, I'm gonna show how it's done.
Well, trying to use that to his advantage. 75% on his hits. And he's one right now, a chance to make this run back. Oh, over the top, pick it out, and feathers it over. That's 3 or 4 in this end they've either just missed or made. I'll slide over and see Scotland-Sweden 5-3 in the 9th.
Looks like a potential shot for a 2 here for Nicholas Edin. Make the double on the reds. Will that second yellow jam straight? Yeah, it will. There you go.
All square. 5-5. That one's been back and forth. Now all tied, with Scotland having the hammer into the 10th end of that one. Don't want to say must win, but it would definitely help Scotland's chances. They come in 1-3 while Sweden's 5-0. That is Nicholas Edin, the reigning world champion. And Matsumura, another guard. They haven't had to make the difficult shot this end. What is left? Doesn't look like a draw path. Try and pick it. Do you tap your yellow up?
Yeah, go ahead and roll. That's a tough one. I think I'd be tempted just running the center guard back, trying to kill one of the reds. Give up a single. You're tied coming home. You'll win a lot of games doing that. Just play the easiest shot to give up 1. Already used their timeout.
들어오는 별로야. 난 럼백 아니면 롤이야. 더 2개 중에 형님이 마음 편한 걸로 하면 될 것 같아. 시간.
럼백.
천천히 볼게.
There's the run back to be played.
지금 잘 빼줬어요. 이 정도 빼줘야 돼.
That makes sense. It's on the center line. It's pretty natural.
Played it.
Just played it. There's like 3 ways to make it. You could catch either side of the stone top 8, and even if you dead jam it, you can maybe catch the back one. Obviously, if you double stuff it, you're very unlucky. But throw this clean, pretty high chance you'll only give up 1.
Well, another run back on a last rock attempt. Kim Soo-hyuk. Well, sounds real close. Run it back. And will they spill it far enough? Will double stuff it. Unlucky. Kim can't believe it. But Japan will steal 2 and take the lead. Their first lead of the game. Millimeters for making this.
I said you'd be really unlucky to double stuff it, and that's just what happened. You know, a little bit inaccurate, but also quite unlucky on a few shots in this end, Korea.
Now 7-6, Japan on top, heading to the 10th end.
シンプルにいきたいね。6-3。まあ1点取らしていいから。3も十分。使ってるところのドローだけ思ってる伸びてるね。今ねこのエンドがね思ったより滑ってるんですかね。さっきのエンドと違うんだ。あっち行く時がどうなのかね。行くと思うんだよな。一緒だと思うんだよな。なんかやっとさペブルがさ平らになったって感じだね。霜が取れてきた風なね。多分どっちにしろドローは14秒がベースになってくると思うから。基本は大丈夫そうだよね。4フットは多分捉えていくと。それぐらい。ブラシ上げたら多分止まるわ。もうあの辺ピカピカ最後の方も止まってきてる。最後の方ね。デリバリーラインで止まるね。この位置でドローの上にガード置くの難しそうだね。ああ、どっちが、あ、こっちだね。
10th end begins, and Yuta Matsumura and Japan have their first lead of the game. It comes after 3 stolen points in 2 ends, 1 in 8, 2 in 9. Korea has not been able to hold on to this lead playing the defensive game. We'll see how they go about it now that they trail and need 2 to win, 1 to tie. First stone goes top of the 8-foot. Here the Pioneer Hi-Bred World Men's Curling Championship. Luke Kohler here with Sander Rovag. Tale of 2 halves this game.
Yeah, pretty much Korea, great start. The game's starting to slip away more and more. Momentum certainly shifted. It's not the first time we've seen that from Korea this week. Obviously good for the neutral fan. As close as it can get for a curling game.
Trying now guard it up. Got to get this one over the hog line. It really ground in, and I don't think they get it over. Just a misjudge. They thought it was going to be there, and they end up leaving it. Now Korea will get their second corner up, and there's no center guard. So does Japan now put the center up again?
I think so. Bring it into the house, then Korea just make a double, and 2 corner guards to play with. So kind of have to.
Yasumasa Tanida. 83% on his draws in this game. Sweeper stand closer with this one after that last one. Coming up short.
앞에 거 벌려도 된다니까. 얘만 살면 돼. 백 다운.
많이 돌지 않나? 많이 돌지 않아요?
So it's playing off that guard.
여기 많이 돌지 않아?
I think so.
잠깐만. 핵. 괜찮을 것 같은데.
It's fully buried. I don't think you're able to chase that shot rock, so just playing the tick. But it looks of it, maybe try and spin the shooter into the rings, but you have to catch it very thin.
다음. 많이 좋아 핵.
Well, they'll end up crashing on the front. And things just unraveling here for Korea.
I'm not sure if I was a huge fan of the call. Could have just played the run back. Doubled off the Reds, try and roll the shooter away. Worst case, you don't make contact with the rock in the house. Just roll away, another corner. Maybe overcomplicating it a little bit.
Clean. Yep. Nice tip.
Japan in a real good spot. You got Korea chasing here in this 10th end, a 1-point lead. Still try and score your 2, but you got to think one forces an extra end. And we'll get one, the one off the side of the 4-foot. See the clocks in behind as well. 3:40 for Japan. They haven't used their timeout, but Korea has. They're at 2:05. Should have enough time, but it's, again, you want to be able to have those discussions.
You know, sometimes it's pretty straightforward, but you know, you're trying to score your 2, trying to figure out a way to do that. It does not leave a lot of room to discuss options. So you might having to rush the next few shots to leave the skip some time. A lot of yellows out front to run in, that's for sure.
It really hasn't been a setup to try and generate offense. Tough generating a 2 when you're playing hits the whole end.
Yeah, you're just going to have to make the choice. Do you want to just try and open it up to score the single, try and steal in the extra, or do you think it's worth taking a risk? You know, maybe running one of the yellows back, trying to set it up. This is a fantastic shot here.
Great recognition angles to pinball right into the rings.
Just like planned for once.
They've had a lot that have gone it the way they didn't want to have occur.
Catch it. Catch a red, maybe a touch thinner. You might even be able to roll that in behind the corner. I don't think they'll take it.
Well, Japan's called their timeout now. With 3 stones remaining each side.
勝ってもさ、勝ってもここに1個作られてたら。
What do you like? I'm a little. They're shot rock, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we missed the guard. They're gonna lie 2 on us, right? What if we nose that? Right? They make the double. We could. What's that? They might make that. That's fine. At least we can lie 2 or guard that then, right? Where do you want to be with that? You don't want to give them a double and the roll, right? So the nose isn't bad, right? That's if you want to roll it in, maybe roll it in this much, maybe to there. Yeah, that's probably your best shot. Nose or there. That's perfect. One is that's 1, right? This much of a roll inside. Okay, or nose.
With the double clear now changes Japan's tactics a little bit.
Yeah, because there's the yellow rock in the house now, so if they ignore it, Korea could potentially start maybe lie 2 on their next one. So you can't really just straight guard the red. There's always a risk. Of course, there's a yellow guard up there helping you, but as long as you leave a yellow in the rings, there's always a chance for Korea to be able to sit 2. So, gonna make the hit on the yellow. Of course, that will allow Korea to maybe use their guards.
Wanted to nose it, maybe a hair inside. That's going to roll a lot further. Sometimes you plan for it and you just sort of have to adjust from where the rock is thrown.
그다음 여기 바로 오는 거 안 돼?
프리즈!
안 나와 이게.
7? 아, A7? 현정 가봐.
보였어?
빨리 와봐.
어디니?
어디?
오케이, 8.
라인.
라인만 봐요! 라인만 봐!
웨이 진짜 좋아.
라인 봐라.
T. 웨이 진짜 좋아.
기다려줘.
T.
Well, last stone upcoming, 10th end. Scotland and Sweden.
Nicholas Dean's last rock just tried to come slightly behind his own stone on the 8 foot, so that's just nibbling the 4 foot. Trying to ask the question of Bruce Mount, do you want to draw or do you want to hit? The hit is the call, so just throwing a board weight. Catch it on the nose for the win. A crucial one.
Yep. Win. Yep. Whoa. Hammy. Hurt.
Well, they got a hit and stick. And that's a much needed win for Scotland, getting their 1-6-5. They defeat Sweden, so Sweden will drop their first game. Scotland snaps a 3-game losing streak. They're now 2-3. Sweden 5-1. To the delight of the always energetic Scottish fans.
Yes. I do. Yes. Line's good. Yes. Yes. Line's good. Yes. Line's good. Yes. Yes. Line right here. Yes.
Freeze made here in our game.
Yes.
The Zhongjai.
Yes.
I think it fractionally overcurled.
Yeah, hard to tell who's actually shot stone at the moment.
Nice.
Call pretty quick from Korea again, just with a minute and 10 seconds left on the clock.
Knowing that they have 2 stones, they'll still have to have some conversation.
Usually the last one's pretty straightforward. Either have a shot for 2 or you don't. So maybe rushing this one a little bit. They're coming the same way. Trying to sit on the corner of that red stone. Close.
79% on his draws.
Not sure if they have the weight to get there. They had to sweep that for a line, or for weight rather.
Come up short now. It's really big of who is shot stone.
If you can see enough of that yellow just thrown, you can try and run it back onto that red stone on the tee line. Maybe score your 2 that way. So do you guard that if you're Japan?
It looks like it might actually be red now that you push in closer.
I think so. Tap the red one up. Line 2.
You tap it a hair on a bit of an angle. Take away that yellow tap. How far do they want to move this one now?
Don't need to tap it too far here. Like you said, just maybe at an angle, just a foot. Maybe just tap it like half tucked around that yellow, just thrown by Korea. Might leave a slash.
Roll the shooter away. Could even take the draw path. Be a little trickier.
If you tap it straight back. There's a couple of, there's definitely a way you can leave a shot for the win here.
They went early on it. We'll tap it. And it's definitely 1-2 right now.
I think that works out pretty well for Japan.
So Korea now less than a minute to decide and throw their final stone. Is that outturn path there for the draw?
That's maybe there. Or But that is tough. Do you play the raise on the yellow and then try and roll that in off the red rocks, maybe?
So 35 seconds and counting. Sliding down, Kim Soo-hyuk.
And the draw's there, but it looks tough.
No real panic in the time here.
Well, he probably knows how much time he needs for his pre-shot routine. And that's a good thing to know.
Quick clean, 10 seconds, and doesn't like throwing with single digits in behind you.
Didn't seem very convinced about the shot here. Didn't seem very optimistic.
They've let some games slide this week. Had a 6-2 lead at the break. Draw 4-foot to get a single point, force an extra end. Got enough to get past the front. Is it there? Can they get by? They're by. Do they get it far enough? And right to the button for the one.
Wow. What a draw with 6 seconds to spare.
Pressure shot. Kim Soo-hyuk will force an extra end, and he gets a little pat on the butt. 7-7. Great shot, skipper, from your opponent. Let's play an extra. Well, an extra end needed here in this one. Pioneer Hi-Bred World Men's Curling Championship 2019. Awesome to see the sportsmanship, the camaraderie, the conversation between the two skips, and the respect for one another. Great shot. Was a outstanding team shot by Korea to get to this extra end. 7-7 is where we stand. Luke Coley here with Sander Rovag. He only had to draw the button, but he also did it with 6 seconds left on the time clock.
That was an impressive shot. I mean, there was not a lot of room there. Had to come real close to that rock in the top 4 and just wrap around it to get enough of the button. If I'm perfectly honest with you, I did not believe he was going to pull that off. So the time clocks are kind of reset for 4 minutes 30 seconds for both teams, and an extra timeout available now for the teams as well, as we see Shinya Abe now looking for the tech shot, just trying to move this off the center line, the split essentially. This is a really good start for Japan. Even rolls the shooter in for shot stone.
So they make the split. Kept you up to date with the Scotland-Sweden game. It was 2 ticks made by Scotland that helped lead to an open shot for the win there by Scotland. Is this the only game remaining on the ice here this morning?
Yeah, the leads become pretty important at the end of a game, and we've seen that in the second half, where we've seen some lead rocks from Korea slip deep, allowing Japan a lot of room. They can't do much more than just throw another center guard here and hope for a miss on the tech shot from Shinya Abe.
Abe's had a great game. Needs one more tick. It's also the vice skip as well. And Matsumura made it pressure on with his tap in that 10th end. Real big sweep. Oh, and will they chip it onto it? Use that one, otherwise it probably hits the boards.
Yep, not bad. Korea will be happy though that they have a rock in the 8-foot. That gives them some hope. Now you put this next guard a bit high. There's a very slim chance you'll get a miss on appeal. If you put it high enough, the angle might be awkward. And you might see Japan run the guard onto one of the side rocks, and it could always come off of those side rocks and spin back towards the center. That's the hope. This one coming in too deep for that to happen, though. Maybe tempting for Japan to even try the slash here. Maybe a little bit thin, but he's looking at it. As soon as they're on the rock here, they might sweep it to catch it thin enough.
Yasumasa Tanida. 5 takeouts in the game, a lot more draws.
Oh, bit of a half shot here.
Something guarding part of the 8-foot they could draw behind. Let's look back at this one, Sandra, the reason why we're in this extra end.
Yeah, hitting a piece of the button real hard. Hadn't played this part of the sheet all end. And just look at how that wraps around, just almost fully buried behind that rock top 8.
And look at the respect and the sportsmanship in the game of curling. A little tap there. Yuta Matsumura to his counterpart, Kim Soo-hyuk. Great shot, buddy. Let's go play an extra.
That's a better spot for that guard. You can see peeling this now a little hard. To not actually catch any of the rocks on the side on the way by. We'll have to be unlucky to jam it so it spins back, but it does happen. Korea's been pretty unlucky with these peels in the game. Maybe it's Japan's turn to feel unfortunate through the hole.
Yeah, how many did we see by Korea in the 8th and 9th ends where they're playing a peel and they miss it just by the smallest margins and then leave their shooter in a terrible spot.
Yeah, it's tempting to almost just straight guard the yellow and the 8-foot. At the same time, you're hoping for one of those jams to come into play.
You're also giving them the chance to get rid of the one in the rings.
But even if they do, there's that redstone left by Tanida. He could come around and sit fully 8-foot, buried.
You see them try and move it around a little bit because this is the same spot. They'll know this spot in the ice. Well, get that one out with the run back. Real good look there. That one coming in. It is Japan lying 1-0 in the rings now for Korea.
Just trying to figure out if they want to make that draw around the corner now or wait one more.
내가 2개 하는 게 맞지 않을까?
타임 있어, 그러니까.
they get their timeout. They're going to call a timeout and talk with.
Slightly reluctant timeout call by the skipper.
Probably think they have lots of time after playing that 10th and tight on the time clock.
조금 빠른 것 같아서.
저 두 번째.
너 두 번째.
지금 해면 형님 샷 두 개 중에 하나라도 안 되면 끝이어서 먼저 들어오는 게 진짜 좋을 것 같아.
지금 상대가 들어 실수하기를 바라야 되는 건
그러니까.
없잖아. 그 전에 필 하나 실수해줘야 되고. 센터 거 스테이 되면 저 치면 안 되면 열겠지. 내가 들어올 해. 열겠지? 그럼 다시 들어올 해. 들어 실수해주는 게 바라는 거 아니야? 그러니까 여기서 왜 스톱을 하는지 모르는데 일단 들어와도 돼. 이거 열어. 우리 뭐 할 거야? 이거 가드 칠 건 아니잖아.
가당하게 해야지.
이걸 가드 친다고?
가드 안 치면.
이따 센터에 뒀다가 맞으니까.
Lee Ji-ho.
천천히 해.
예.
컴어라운드 넣어야지. 컴어라운드 넣고 열면 다시 탑하우스나 옆쪽에 놓고 라스트락 드로우 시키든가 히트 스테이를 시켜서 롤아웃으로 우리가 그 지금 컴어라운드 된 게 나중에 살아야지. 지금 우리가 컴어라운드 넣으면 쟤네 열 거란 말이야. 그지?
예.
그러면 다시 그걸 막아야 돼. 옆에다 넣던가. 어? 지금 가드는 거의 의미 없어. 어차피 필이 너무 쉽기 때문에 되면은 기회를 하나로 끝내는 게 아니라 기회를 두 번, 세 번 보자는 거야. 오케이?
네.
천천히 해. 시간 지금 아직도 30 몇 초 시간 있으니까 천천히 해.
그리고 저는 샷 두 개로 하려고 했거든. 바로 치고 열면 제가 컴어라운드. 열면 센터 더블 못 치거나 컴어라운드 하게. 그래 하게.
네, 지금 하는 게 나는 좋을 것 같아. 어차피 네 샷으로 결정을 내긴 하는 건데 미리 하나 해놓고 하나 그 다음에 하나 마찬가지인 거야.
Well, it was whether to make that play now. It looks like come around the call.
열까지
잘
괜찮을 것 같아.
가더라. 내 또 가드 몇이냐?
너꼭 9번.
안 쓸까 7? 어때?
8에 그럼 보내줘. T 10까지 괜찮아.
7반 8?
Lee Jong-jae.
6번.
열하나. 아니다. 떼서 아예 죽여놓자. 오케이, 열하나.
라이만 형님!
오케이, 열.
라인 충분해!
The good part about coming around here is you kind of try and find the line and wait for it.
현준아!
현준아!
In case you end up sitting in the open, Japan peels it, then you might be able to improve it on the next one.
It's a real good effort to go around.
And then the question, does Japan want to play the run back?
You almost got to play it with the out turn, and if you play it, miss it, you just peel it off.
I definitely don't want to catch on the inside and roll the shooter towards the center line, leave a guard.
So Japan's turn now with the timeout. Each given one in the extra end.
1個ずれるだけで全然違うから。トライしてフィールドでも全然いいしからね。こっち側狙って。
You're comfortable with drawing? Draw weight? Yeah. So I would make sure we get rid of that. I wouldn't chase after this because it'll just get grosser, right? Shinya? We don't want to chase after this right now because if we freeze and they freeze, we get closer and closer, right? If we peel, right? You could get lucky and peel something into that, right? Like hit that thin. Well, you don't want to go there. You might. Could even peel this way, right? You just want to have your draw path. They're going to have to guard, right? And then they're probably going to go top 8 foot. And then you're going to have the draw path, right? So they're going to go there. Yeah, then you're going to have a draw to the 4. Good.
There's the difference with the language barrier, that Shinya, the English-speaking player, that has to sort of relay it all. It's not necessarily even go after the run back, it's more so the peel.
Yeah, I think so. Just take it away. You might see Korea put the guard back on. The risk playing the run back is you leave the shooter as a better guard for Korea to utilize. So they can just peel it, maybe try and roll the shooter off of the stone on the wing, maybe spin back somehow as a bonus.
Well, and we'll get it off that side one.
I touched it.
Not allowed to use the bumper, unfortunately.
As they were trying to stop it, did make some contact. I didn't think they moved it much, so. And way it'll play out. Not probably a huge factor.
나는 그냥 여기 놓으면 더블 볼게 보겠지? 더블 안 되면 다시 한번 해서 들어줘야 돼.
그냥 아예.
근데 여기 가드치잖아. 따라 붙거나 여기다가 들어해버리면 우리가 쳐야 되잖아. 이게 티 위로만 쓰면 프리즈해도 소용없어. 우리 쳐야 되고. 상대는 히트스테이가 쉬워지거나 아니면 오픈 들어가야 돼.
얘가 뭐가 쉬울라나?
이거 하자. 더블이 어렵다.
이게?
지금 결정해야 돼. 여기. 형님.
괜찮아? 난 괜찮아.
여기까지 괜찮을 것 같아.
여기가 좋아요.
형님 시각. 여기 좋을 것 같아.
일단 얘한테 이겨야 된다.
오케이.
정진아,
얘만
저한테
이겨.
이겨야 된다.
경진아. 1번 물어야 돼. 너무 깊게는 안 갈게. 웨이트만 봐.
깊게 가면 더블이.
센터는 정확히 해야 될 것 같아.
So where does Korea go with this stone now?
They're looking to put a top 12. Just wonder if it's one rock too early. I wouldn't mind just guarding the yellow. Japan would probably peel it, and then you go top 8, top 12, forced to draw. Not really sure if you're going to gain much from putting this top 12 here. Ever slip deep here, leave a double, game's over. You leave it short, center guard. Japan might get the slash double, the game's over. The only good part here is you practice your draw weight. Stanley comes up short, so I'll have a better guess on the next one if he gets a second chance. Don't think Japan would dare the slash in case they jam it on the red. It could go red and then to the yellow spin over to the forfeit. It's probably not worth the risk.
Just peel it the other way and just get rid of it.
We're putting it there for Korea. It's a teaser.
Looks like they're playing that way though.
It's a little bit scary. Again, you would have to be very unlucky to jam it in a way that it spins back to the forfeit, but playing it this was the only way it's going to happen also. Not sure about it. And they're going to peel it the safe way.
Yeah, I think a wise call.
It's of course tempting. You make the slash double. All you need to do is hit an open rock for the win. You make the straight peel. You know you're probably going to draw the forfeit. So, automatic call for Korea. Just put this as deep into the 8 foot as possible without allowing Japan to play the no set. So, about 3/4 in, ideally. Just close down the rings a little bit. If you want to force Japan to play a certain turn, you can Put it on the opposite side of the center line. So you put it on the left side of the center line. That kind of forces Japan to play the right-hand side. This one looking heavy though. Well, it's going to go to the back part of the rings. That's not really helping at all. Still put the broom down to draw the forefoot. Could be the broom for the hit, but I do think it's a draw.
Doesn't need the forefoot, just needs good 8-foot. Deep breath for Yuta Matsumura. Try and come back and knock off Korea.
It could be a fourth extra and loss for the Koreans.
Just talking over this spot in the ice with the team. Be his intern, the lefty Skip.
Been pretty good on his draws today.
81% of Tanita and Shimizu. Final stone here, 11th end. 7-7. Well, they back right off. It will slide into the forefoot, to the back of the button, and a win for Japan. Matsumura and Japan come back from 6-2 down at the break to pull off the 8-7 win over Korea, as it is Japan improving to 5-1 with that win, while Korea drops to 0-6. Big win for Japan, setting themselves, and yes, relief on that draw to the forefoot, as they will now take on Germany later today, while Korea will play Scotland this evening in their next game. Look back, last stone here. It is Yuta Matsumura with the draw, pick up the single point. And is the final shot, pardon me, of the extra and the draw for the single point, as it is the victory for Japan. Drew the forefoot to pick up the win. Here's the final scores from session 9. Japan defeats Korea 8-7. Scotland knocks off Sweden, their first loss, 6-5. And Italy with a 5 in the 8th end to knock off Norway, who look for their first win, 10-4 the win there for Italy. Just the 3 games that were out there. Look at the standings now. Canada and Switzerland alone on top at 5-0, while Japan and Sweden tied at 5-1. US right behind at 4-1. Then Italy 3-2. Netherlands, Scotland 2-3. China, Germany, Russia all at 1-4. Norway 0-5. Korea 0-6. 2 teams still looking for win number 1. here at the Pioneer Hi-Bred World Men's Curling Championship. Fifth end here of this one, and a mess of stones around the forefoot. That yellow stone for Korea right in there, and a chance for the third two. Gotta get just past that top one. Kim Soo-hyuk, nice shape, gets the two. And he's excited, hopping on to get another deuce, leading 6-2 at that point. When Japan comes out of the break, chance to get a two. They hadn't got one yet, and they desperately need this one. For Yuta Matsumura has the draw into the forefoot, and they'll guide that one right in to score their 2 points, cut into that Korean lead. And after steals in 8 and 9, Japan with the lead. And the final stone of the 10th, Kim Soo-hyuk, with 6 seconds on his time clock, has to draw the button around a tough path. And look at that sweep. Jung Hwang get it right to the button for the single point. And the skips respect. Great shot, forces the extra. And this time, Yuta Matsumura will be playing the draw. He has to get it into the forefoot to pick up the single point and the victory. And another tough loss for Korea as this one comes in. Japan picking up the win. Yuta Matsumura and Japan now 5-1 with the 8-7 victory. This is a tale of two halves. The 3 twos by Korea in the first half, but it was all Japan from the 6th end on to that 8-7 win. Those steals in 8 and 9, the key in this game.
Strong comeback by Japan. It's not the first time. What makes Japan so good at turning games around?
You know, they're just so calm, and they don't get rattled. They just keep plugging along, and it's a real strong attribute that they have, for sure.
Seems maybe a little bit the opposite for Korea, a young team, and they seem to lose a lot of games at the end.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been following Korea too closely, but I have seen the last couple, and it seems like they're struggling late. But it's tough out there.
What do you think about your team and their chances now moving forward?
Oh, I'm confident. You know, it's a long week, right? And our goal is really just to try to make the playoffs right now. If we can make the 1-2, great. But if not, we got to just focus on making the playoffs. So.
Right, thank you, Bob, and congrats.
Yeah, thanks. You bet.
Well, Japan picks up another victory for Sander Rovog, myself, Luke Coley, and our entire crew. Thanks for watching the Pioneer Hi-Bred World Men's Curling Championship.
제발 좀만 더.